Liam was a 16-year-old boy from a small, quiet town, a place where nothing ever seemed to change. He lived with his mother, Mary, who was a school teacher. Their home was modest, nothing extravagant, just a small house tucked away on a peaceful street. But for Liam, this little home was the most comforting place in the world. It was here, in his small room, where his dreams took shape. With a guitar in his hands and a piano in the corner, Liam's life revolved around music. It was his escape from the quiet town, the place where he could be himself. While most of the kids his age were out playing sports or hanging out with friends, Liam spent hours crafting songs and learning to play instruments. His room was often filled with the sound of his guitar, strumming quietly, as he lost himself in melodies. Despite his natural talent, he never felt like he was good enough. Liam was different from the other aspiring musicians he'd seen online or on TV. He didn't have the fancy instruments, the right clothes, or the connections. He was just a boy from a small town, with big dreams but little confidence. One day, as he sat at his desk strumming his guitar, Liam thought about how much he wanted to make it in the music world. He would watch videos of famous musicians, imagining himself on stage, performing in front of crowds. But then, a voice of doubt would creep in. Who would ever notice me? I don't have the right look. I don't have what it takes. These thoughts followed him everywhere, at school, at home, even when he was alone in his room. His mother, Mary, saw how hard he worked and believed in him completely. She would often say, "Liam, you have something special. Don't ever forget that." But deep down, Liam wasn't sure he could ever truly be the musician he dreamt of becoming. He was afraid that his dream was just that, a dream, and nothing more. But then, one day, everything changed. On his way to school, Liam heard a piece of news that made his heart skip a beat. A prestigious music competition was coming to the city. The competition was for young, talented musicians, and the winner could land a recording deal with one of the biggest music labels in the world. Liam's heart raced as he thought about the possibilities. This could be it, he thought. This could be my chance to prove myself. His mind was filled with excitement and nerves all at once. He knew it wasn't going to be easy, but he had to try. He couldn't let this opportunity slip away. He ran home that day, his heart pounding, and immediately started practicing his original song, a song he had been working on for months. It was about hope, about never giving up, about pushing through the hardest moments. It felt like it had all of him in it. As he sat at his piano, the notes seemed to come naturally, the lyrics flowing from his heart. He couldn't wait to show the world what he had created. Liam's mother, Mary, noticed the fire in his eyes. "You've been working so hard," she said, her voice full of pride. "This is your time, Liam. You've got this." But deep inside, Liam still had doubts. What if I'm not good enough? But he pushed those thoughts aside and kept practicing. If he had learned anything from his mom, it was that hard work pays off. Even if no one believed in you, you had to believe in yourself. The day of the music competition finally arrived, and Liam's excitement was mixed with nervous anticipation. He woke up early that morning, his heart racing as he made his way to the bus station with his guitar slung over his back. He couldn't believe he was actually going to compete in such a big event. For a boy from a small town like him, this was a dream come true. The competition was being held in the city, a place that felt both exciting and intimidating. As he rode the bus, he couldn't help but think about all the other competitors who might be more polished, more experienced than he was. What if I mess up? What if I don't belong here? The city was bustling with people, cars honking, and crowds of people walking by, and it all seemed like a blur to Liam as he focused on the goal ahead. The competition venue was huge, an elegant, modern auditorium with shining floors and large glass windows. The bright lights of the city outside contrasted with the polished, sleek look of the building. The air was thick with the sound of conversations and anticipation, but Liam felt small in the middle of it all. He stood outside for a moment, looking up at the towering structure. I can't turn back now, he thought. This is my chance. He walked through the doors, his palms sweating as he checked in at the registration desk. The atmosphere was electric, but the tension in the air was palpable. There were dozens of talented musicians around him, some adjusting their instruments, others tuning their voices. Liam couldn't help but compare himself to them, polished, confident, and already at ease. The reality of the competition hit him. He wasn't like them. He wasn't sure he belonged here. He found a quiet corner in the waiting area and practiced his song one last time. His fingers trembled slightly as he played the opening chords, but the melody was still familiar, still comforting. You can do this, Liam, he reminded himself. You've worked for this. You've earned your place here. Eventually, his name was called. He stood up quickly, his heart racing faster than ever before. He walked toward the stage, where a panel of judges sat, scribbling notes and exchanging glances. They looked intimidating, sharp suits, serious expressions. The room fell silent as Liam stepped up to the microphone. He took a deep breath, adjusted his guitar, and looked out at the audience. The lights were bright, blurring the faces in the crowd, making everything feel distant. His only focus was the song in front of him. The first few chords of the song flowed naturally, and for a moment, Liam felt like he was in his own little world. His voice was shaky at first, but the more he sang, the more he felt himself connecting with the music. The lyrics poured out, the emotion in his voice resonating with the meaning behind the words. It was a song of hope, a song about believing in yourself despite the world telling you that you're not good enough. For a moment, Liam felt like he was singing just for himself. But as the song came to a close, Liam's nerves returned. He looked up at the judges, but their faces remained impassive. They didn't smile, didn't even nod. They just stared at him, scribbling notes. The silence that followed was thick and heavy. Liam's heart sank as the head judge, a stern-looking man in a sharp suit, finally spoke. Well, he said, his tone flat, that was, okay. Your voice has potential, but you need more technique. Your performance was a little shaky, and you're lacking the kind of stage presence we need. You've got some talent, kid, but I don't think you're quite ready for this level. The words hit Liam like a punch to the gut. His mind went blank. Not ready? The rejection stung harder than he ever imagined. He forced a smile, though it felt empty, and nodded quietly. The judges didn't say much more. Without any feedback or encouragement, they dismissed him. As he left the stage, he could feel the weight of their indifference pressing down on him. Backstage, Liam packed his guitar slowly, his hands trembling. The excitement that had fueled him earlier now felt like a distant memory. I gave it my all, and it wasn't enough, he thought. I'm just not cut out for this. He walked out of the auditorium, his heart heavy, the sound of his footsteps echoing in the quiet hall. Outside, the city seemed louder than ever, and Liam felt completely alone in the crowd. It was as if the world had continued moving on without him, indifferent to his dreams. Liam walked out of the competition building in a daze, his guitar case feeling heavier with every step. He could still hear the judge's words echoing in his mind. Not ready for this level. He hadn't expected a standing ovation or anything, but he also didn't think they would be so dismissive. His heart felt like it had dropped to the floor, and the city around him seemed louder, harsher, more overwhelming than ever before. As he walked through the bustling streets, the hum of cars and chatter from the crowd felt distant, as if he were underwater. People passed him by, too caught up in their own lives to notice the defeat in his eyes. The world didn't stop for him, and for the first time in his life, Liam felt like he didn't belong. The competition had been his one shot, and now, it felt like that shot had been wasted. I'm not cut out for this, he thought bitterly. Maybe they're right. Maybe I don't have what it takes. His mind raced as he found himself standing outside a small cafe. He took a deep breath and stepped inside, hoping for a little peace, a moment to clear his head. But even there, he couldn't escape the feeling of rejection. The soft hum of conversations around him seemed so foreign, so disconnected from his thoughts. Liam sat in the corner, staring down at the table, his fingers tracing the rim of his coffee cup absent-mindedly. It wasn't long before Mary, his mom, called. He had promised her he'd call once he was done, but now, the thought of talking to her made him feel even worse. He didn't want to tell her what happened. He didn't want to disappoint her. "Hey, sweetie. How did it go?" Her voice was full of excitement, not knowing the storm of emotions raging in her son's heart. Liam swallowed hard before responding. It didn't go well, Mom." Her voice faltered. "What happened? Are you okay?" They didn't think I was ready," he said quietly. His eyes stared out the window, but he couldn't focus on anything. He just felt hollow, like a part of him was missing. "I worked so hard, and for what?" he thought. "For nothing." There was a long pause on the other end of the phone. Then, Mary said softly, "Liam, listen to me. This one rejection doesn't define you. You've come so far. I've seen how much effort you've put into your music. They don't know you, not like I do. This is just one moment. It doesn't mean it's the end." Liam didn't know how to respond. He couldn't shake the weight of the rejection. He wasn't sure how to keep going, how to push forward when it felt like the world was telling him to stop. "But Mom, what if they're right? What if I'm just not good enough?" His mom's voice became more firm, but still warm. "Liam, you're more than just one competition, one judge's opinion. You've got something special in you. I've seen it since you were little. But sometimes, the world doesn't see that right away. You can't give up just because of this." Liam closed his eyes and leaned his head back, the weight of the conversation settling heavily on him. Maybe she's right. Maybe I can't let this one moment destroy everything I've worked for. But even as he thought that, the self-doubt crept back in. What if I'm just not cut out for this? As he stood up to leave the cafe, the sadness still lingered, but he forced himself to take a deep breath. He had to keep going. For his mom. For himself. Music was still his passion, and he couldn't give up on it, no matter how defeated he felt. The days following the competition felt like a blur to Liam. He couldn't shake the sting of rejection. He spent most of the next day locked in his room, strumming aimlessly on his guitar. Every note felt hollow, every chord seemed to mock him. The self-doubt that had always lurked in the back of his mind now felt like a heavy weight, pressing down on him with each passing hour. His mother, Mary, noticed the change in him immediately. She tried to comfort him, offering words of encouragement, but Liam couldn't bring himself to believe them. The world had already decided he wasn't good enough. He was just a boy with a dream that was never going to come true. One morning, unable to stand the silence in his room, Liam decided to take a walk. He needed to clear his head, to forget the crushing disappointment that weighed on him. He wandered through the city streets, lost in his thoughts, when a sound caught his attention. It was the melody of his song, the one he had poured his heart into, being played by a street performer. The man, an older musician with a guitar, was standing on the corner, drawing a small crowd. Liam stopped in his tracks, a mix of confusion and curiosity rising within him. As he watched, he realized the performer was playing his song, his music that had never been officially released, the one the judges had dismissed just days ago. Liam approached the performer, trying to make sense of what was happening. The street musician explained that he had found the song online, and it had gone viral. It turned out, someone had posted a video of Liam's performance from the competition, and it quickly gained traction, spreading across social media platforms. Liam stood there, stunned. How did this happen? He wondered. He had no idea his song had made its way to the world like this. Just as he was processing this strange turn of events, a voice interrupted him. "That's a great song," said a man with a confident tone, stepping forward. Liam looked up to find a well-dressed man with sharp eyes, who introduced himself as Max Stevens, a music producer. Max had overheard the conversation and had been drawn to the sound of the song. After hearing it, he turned to Liam and said, "I've been searching for fresh talent, and your song, there's something special about it. I think we could do something with this." Liam's heart skipped a beat. Could this really be happening? A music producer, someone with real industry connections, was interested in his song? It was more than he could have ever imagined. Liam stood there, barely able to process what was happening. Max Stevens, a well-known music producer, had just told him that his song was special. It felt like a dream. For so long, Liam had doubted his talent, and now here he was, face to face with someone who believed in him. Max wasn't just any producer, he was known for discovering breakthrough artists and launching their careers. The idea that Max had been drawn to his song, the same song he had nearly given up on, filled Liam with a sense of hope he hadn't felt in a long time. Max smiled at Liam's stunned expression. "I know it's a lot to take in," he said, sensing Liam's hesitation. "But listen, I've heard a lot of music over the years, and something about this one really stands out. I'd like to hear more from you, more of your songs, your ideas. This could be the start of something big, Liam." Liam's mind raced. Is this really happening? The feeling of doubt was still there, lingering in the back of his mind, but it was quickly overshadowed by a spark of excitement. Max wanted to hear more. He wanted to work with Liam. For the first time in a long while, Liam could feel the weight of his dreams coming to life. Max explained that they would need to meet the next week at his studio, a well-known recording space where he produced tracks for some of the biggest names in the industry. Liam couldn't believe it. The same boy who had been told he wasn't ready by the judges just days ago was now being given a shot to prove himself. He nodded eagerly, trying to hide the nerves bubbling up inside of him. "Thank you, I won't let you down," Liam managed to say. As Max walked away, Liam stood there for a moment, still in disbelief. His eyes wandered to the crowd that had gathered around the street performer. Some were still recording the song, others were clapping. Liam felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. This moment, this small spark of recognition, had changed everything. He realized that no matter how many people doubted him, how many times he had been rejected, this was his chance. His journey wasn't over, it was just beginning. Liam rushed home that evening, unable to contain his excitement. When he walked through the door, his mother, Mary, was sitting at the kitchen table. She looked up at him, her eyes filled with concern, but then she saw the wide grin on his face. "Liam, what happened? You look like you've seen a ghost." I've been given a chance. A real chance, Mom. Max Stevens, he's a music producer, and he wants to work with me," Liam blurted out, the words tumbling out of his mouth faster than he could process them. Mary's face lit up with pure joy. "Liam, that's amazing. I knew you had it in you. I told you, you just had to keep believing." She hugged him tightly, and for a moment, Liam allowed himself to believe that maybe, just maybe, this was the start of something big. The days leading up to Liam's first meeting with Max Stevens were a whirlwind of excitement and nervous anticipation. He could hardly believe that just a few days ago, he had been ready to give up on his music career entirely. Now, he was about to step into the very world he had always dreamed of, the world of professional music production. His mind raced with thoughts of what the studio would be like, who he might meet, and whether or not he could actually live up to Max's expectations. The morning of the meeting, Liam woke up early, his stomach in knots. He carefully chose what to wear, a simple black t-shirt and jeans, nothing too fancy, but still enough to show that he was taking this opportunity seriously. He grabbed his guitar, checking that it was tuned and ready to go. His mother, Mary, stood in the doorway, a proud smile on her face. "You've got this, Liam. Just remember to be yourself. Don't overthink it," she said, giving him a hug before he left. Liam arrived at the studio with his heart racing. The building was massive, much bigger than anything he had imagined. It was located in a quiet part of the city, tucked away behind tall, modern buildings, its walls made of large glass windows that let in the soft morning light. As he walked through the doors, he was immediately struck by the sleek, high-tech interior. There were instruments everywhere, grand pianos, keyboards, and guitars lined the walls. Soundproof rooms were scattered throughout the space, each one designed for a different part of the production process. The air smelled like new leather and fresh paint, the walls were lined with platinum records, and everything about the place screamed professionalism. Max was waiting for him inside a soundproof recording booth, surrounded by a group of technicians and other producers. Max smiled as Liam walked in. "Glad you made it," he said, offering a firm handshake. "You ready to get started?" Liam could barely contain his nerves as he nodded. "I think so," he said, his voice a little shaky. But inside, a part of him was on fire. This was his moment. He couldn't let it slip away. Max led him over to the center of the studio, where a state-of-the-art recording system sat, complete with mixing boards, microphones, and monitors that looked like something straight out of a music video. "We're going to start by recording a demo of your song. Don't worry about it being perfect. Just give me the best version of yourself," Max said. Liam sat down in front of a microphone, the glow of the recording lights giving everything a surreal, almost magical feel. His hands were sweaty, but as he started strumming the first few chords of his song, the tension began to ease. There was something about the studio, the atmosphere, the people around him that made him feel alive. The song flowed from him in a way it hadn't before. In his small room back home, he had often felt trapped by self-doubt, but here, surrounded by professionals, the music seemed to come alive. The guitar felt natural in his hands, and his voice, though still a little nervous, carried with more power than he had expected. Max watched closely, nodding as Liam played. The producer's approval was the boost Liam needed. He pushed through the song with confidence, each note ringing out stronger than the last. After the recording, Max pulled him aside. "You've got something unique, Liam. There's a rawness to your voice, a sincerity. But we need to refine it, tighten up a few things. It's going to take work, but I believe in you," Max said, his words ringing in Liam's ears. Liam's heart swelled. He had always wanted to be heard, to be understood, and now he felt like someone actually believed in his talent. As the session wrapped up, Max promised to work on the track, mixing it and tweaking the sound to make it radio-ready. But before Liam left, Max told him, "This is just the beginning. We'll put together a plan, maybe even get you some shows. Let's see where this can go." Liam stepped out of the studio, his mind spinning with excitement and possibility. He had no idea what the future held, but he knew one thing for sure: this was the start of a new chapter. The boy who had been dismissed as not good enough was now working with some of the best in the business. He felt a rush of gratitude, not only for the chance he'd been given but for the belief in himself he was finally starting to find. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but it would be worth it. Weeks passed since Liam's first session at Max's studio, but it felt like a blur. Every day, Liam was filled with a mix of excitement and nerves. Max had kept his word. He worked tirelessly on the track, refining the mix, tweaking the sound, and adding layers of depth to the song. Slowly, Liam's doubts began to fade as the song took shape. It was starting to sound like something professional, something that could be heard on the radio. But as excited as he was, Liam knew that this was only the beginning. Success in the music industry didn't happen overnight, there was still so much work to be done. One evening, as Liam sat in his room, scrolling through social media, something caught his attention, a notification from Max Stevens. The message was simple but had Liam's heart racing: "It's time." Liam immediately called his mom, nearly out of breath. "Mom, Max is ready. He's going to submit my song to a record label." His mom's voice cracked with excitement. "Liam, this is it. I knew you could do it." The next few days were a whirlwind. Max arranged for the song to be played at a major industry event where top record labels were present. It was a long shot. Most songs at such events never made it past the first listen, but Liam knew that this could be his moment. He tried not to get his hopes up, but every time he thought about the possibility of the song being heard by people who could make a real difference, his heart raced. The night of the event arrived, and Liam felt a wave of nerves and anticipation. He stood beside Max, surrounded by producers, artists, and executives, all dressed in their best. The atmosphere was electric, filled with the hum of conversation and the clink of glasses. Liam's stomach churned. This was the moment that could change everything for him. As the evening unfolded, Max introduced Liam to a few key people, but it wasn't until late in the night when things began to take shape. Max had managed to arrange for Liam's song to be played at a private showcase for a major record label, one known for discovering chart-topping artists. Liam stood nervously in the corner of the room, watching as the lights dimmed and the music began to play. The first few seconds of his song filled the space, and for a moment, everything seemed to stand still. He felt as though all eyes were on him. The song played through, each note clearer and more powerful than the last. Liam stood frozen, his palms sweating, as the song came to an end. The room was silent for a moment. Then, someone spoke. "Who wrote this? This is incredible." Liam's heart skipped a beat. That voice was unmistakable. It was Alex Grayson, the head of the record label. Alex, a giant in the music industry, had an eye for talent and had launched the careers of several successful artists. He was known for being tough, but his opinions were always respected. Liam could hardly breathe. Was this it? Was this really happening? Max smiled and stepped forward. "This is Liam," he said, nodding toward him. "He's the one behind the song." Alex turned to Liam with a sharp look of interest. "I have to say, you've got something. I want to sign you. Your song is fresh, but it has depth. We could work with this. We'll help you reach the audience you deserve." Liam's mind raced. He could hardly believe what he was hearing. This was his big break, the moment that every aspiring artist dreams of. The deal wasn't finalized right away, but it was enough. Alex Grayson was interested. The record label was interested. Max gave Liam a supportive smile, knowing that this was just the beginning of a long journey. Liam's eyes welled up as he realized the magnitude of what had just happened. All the rejection, all the self-doubt, the struggle, it had led him to this point. And in that moment, standing in the glow of the spotlight, he realized that he had made it. The world was finally listening. As Liam's popularity grew, so did the expectations. The pressure of living up to the success of his debut single began to weigh heavily on him. Every time he stepped into the spotlight, whether it was for an interview, a photo shoot, or a live performance, the eyes of the world were on him. Fans, critics, and industry insiders all had opinions, and it felt like no matter what he did, it was never enough. Liam spent hours in the studio, working on new material, hoping to replicate the magic of his first hit. But as time passed, he found it harder to tap into that same raw energy that had fueled his initial success. His songs weren't connecting with people the way they used to. He was stuck in a cycle, trying to create music that would please everyone else, forgetting what had made him start playing music in the first place, his love for creating and sharing his truth. One evening, after a particularly grueling session in the studio, Liam sat in a corner, staring at the blank page in front of him. The guitar in his hands felt heavy, and the words wouldn't come. He had written dozens of songs since the release of his first single, but none of them felt right. None of them felt like him. He began to wonder if the pressure to keep delivering hits was slowly suffocating his creativity. In the midst of his struggle, he received a call from Max. The conversation started with business as usual, talking about upcoming projects, possible collaborations, and even more promotional events. But something in Max's tone shifted. "Liam, I can tell you're stressed. I know you want to make everyone happy, but remember why you started this in the first place. You've got to stay true to yourself. Music is about expressing who you are, not trying to live up to someone else's idea of success." Liam was quiet for a long moment, letting Max's words sink in. He hadn't realized how far he had strayed from his original vision. Everything had changed so quickly, and he had become consumed by the expectations of others. But Max was right, he needed to find his voice again, to create music that was meaningful to him. The next day, Liam went for a walk in the park, trying to clear his head. He saw the world differently now, with new eyes. He saw people living their lives, their own struggles, joys, and dreams. For the first time in weeks, he felt inspired. Liam realized that he didn't have to follow trends or try to please everyone. His music should come from a place of honesty, just like it had when he wrote that first song. He would write music for himself, not for the charts. That evening, Liam picked up his guitar again. This time, there was no pressure, no rush. He didn't care if it was perfect or if anyone would like it. He just wanted to write something that felt real. Slowly, the notes started to flow, the lyrics began to form, and he felt the weight on his shoulders lift. This song was different. It felt like him, raw, vulnerable, and true to the person he had always been. It wasn't about trying to create something that would sell. It was about connecting with the part of himself he had almost lost in the hustle for fame. The next day, Liam shared the new song with Max. It was rough, unpolished, but it had heart. Max listened closely, nodding as the song played through. When the final chord rang out, Max paused, then smiled. "This is it, Liam. This is who you really are. Keep making music like this, and the rest will follow. People will connect with your honesty. You've found your voice." Liam felt a sense of relief wash over him. He had rediscovered the joy of creating for himself, not for anyone else. The pressure was still there, but he now understood how to handle it, by staying grounded and true to his roots. Music had never been about the fame, the accolades, or the charts. It was about telling his story and sharing it with the world. Liam's decision to take a step back and focus on creating music that felt true to him was a game-changer. After that night in the studio, when he had written the song that reflected his real emotions, he felt like a weight had been lifted off his shoulders. The next few weeks were spent in a creative flow he hadn't experienced in months. His music started to feel real again, like it was coming from a deeper place inside him. Max noticed the change immediately. When Liam played him a few new tracks, Max's eyes lit up. "This is what I've been waiting for, Liam," he said, a smile creeping across his face. "You're not just chasing success anymore. You're telling your story. People will connect with this. We need to get this out to the world." The decision was made quickly. Liam's label decided to focus on his new direction. They would release the songs he had written in the last few weeks, starting with the heartfelt track he had first rediscovered his voice with. But this time, it wasn't about the commercial potential or the need for a hit. It was about the message, about Liam's authenticity, about him being himself, and about creating music that resonated with his true fans. Liam was nervous, though. This new direction wasn't guaranteed to be a hit. What if people didn't like it? What if it wasn't as catchy or marketable as the first song that had made him famous? But Max reassured him, reminding him that the best art always came from honesty. It might take time, but people will appreciate the realness. It's your voice, your experience. And that's something no one else can replicate, Max said, his tone filled with conviction. When the new single was released, it was met with mixed reactions. Some fans loved it, praising its raw emotion and sincerity, while others were confused. It wasn't the upbeat pop song they had first fallen in love with. But Liam didn't mind. He had already learned the most important lesson in the music industry: it wasn't about pleasing everyone. It was about staying true to himself, no matter what the critics said. And then, something unexpected happened. As the weeks went on, the song began to gain traction. It started appearing on more playlists, and fans who had initially been hesitant began to embrace it. They shared it with their friends, made TikTok videos with it, and posted lyrics on social media. What began as a small ripple grew into a wave. Slowly but surely, Liam's new sound began to resonate with a larger audience. One evening, as Liam checked his social media, he saw the messages flooding in. Fans were sharing how much the song had meant to them, how it had helped them through tough times. It wasn't about the radio play anymore, it was about the connection. The song had become a voice for those who felt the way Liam did, people who had their own struggles but found solace in his music. That was when Liam realized that he had found his true calling. He wasn't just creating music for the charts, he was creating it for the people who needed to hear it. Soon after, the label began to notice the shift in momentum. The song had become a slow-burn success, climbing up the charts in a way no one had predicted. But this time, it wasn't because of flashy promotions or commercial marketing. It was because of the authenticity of the music itself. It was a reminder to Liam that the best kind of success wasn't about immediate fame, it was about building a lasting, meaningful connection with his fans. Liam's journey had come full circle. He wasn't the same boy who had been ignored by the music experts, the one who had questioned his worth. He was now an artist with a purpose, a storyteller with a message. And while the fame was still there, it no longer defined him. What mattered most was the music and the people who listened to it. As Liam's journey unfolded, one truth became clear: authenticity is the key to success. Whether you're chasing your dreams, facing rejection, or feeling lost in the pursuit of something bigger, the real magic lies in staying true to who you are. Just like Liam, sometimes you have to take a step back and listen to your heart. Only then can you create something truly meaningful, whether it's music, art, or any other passion. So, if you're inspired by Liam's story and want to see more stories like his, stories of self-discovery, perseverance, and the power of being yourself, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to share this video with anyone who needs a little inspiration in their life. Your support makes all the difference, and together, we can keep bringing you stories that motivate, inspire, and uplift. Thanks for watching, and always remember, believe in yourself. See you in the next video.